It got so bad at one point, my mom, she's like, Michael, what in the world? How is it that you're kind of a jerk? Like, why is that? Hi, my name is Father Mike Schmitz, and this is Ascension Presents. Relatively recently, I was on a panel with two other men, and the last question of the night was by a woman sitting in the front row next to her husband, who I assume was her husband. And she apparently was a mom. She said, okay, here you three men are. And you three men are Catholic and you're practicing your faith and you're striving to bring the faith to others. What did your mom do to lead you to this place? And I just heard in her heart this beautiful question of a mom who just like, here's three guys, seems to have worked. What did your moms do? The first man, his name is Jamie. He's one of the co-founders of Exodus 90, gave an awesome answer where he just talked about how much his mom and dad loved him, how much he loves both of them back. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. Incredible. Really beautiful. The next man, his name's Alex. He's one of the co-founders of Hallow. And he gave a great answer about how he's very close to his parents. And just here's what my mom did. And just really, really beautiful. I just was wondering if behind all of this, in this motherly heart here asking this question, was something deeper. And if this wasn't what she was asking, then I'm just projecting. I apologize for that. But I thought, you know what I need to say is I need to highlight another truth of what a relationship with a great mom could look like. And so I said, well, I had a conversion when I was in high school, like 15, 16 years old. So you would think that would change how I behaved. And it did in a lot of ways. But it didn't change how I behaved at home. I was a sullen teenager at home, but not out in public. Like out in public, like with my friends, with teachers, with other people, I was like, oh yeah, I'm pleasant, whatever. And so it got so bad at one point. My mom, she's like, Michael, what in the world? How is it that when I talk to people out in town, they're talking about how nice you are, how polite you are, how willing to help you are. But then you come home and you're kind of a jerk. Like, why is that? I was like, oh, you're right, mom. Like, so again, moms, dads, Sometimes we're turds, right? Sometimes we're jerks. That doesn't mean you're a turd. That doesn't mean you're a jerk. It means it was my fault, you know? I love my mom very much. So my mom died last year. I would say that we had a very good relationship. It's going to come back to that in a second. We had a very good relationship where I knew she loved me and she knew that I loved her. I believe that's the case. But also I know that, she has 6 kids. And we all have different relationships with her. There was a fundraiser for the Catholic school back in my hometown, and I was giving a talk. And I went, hey, mom and dad, how you doing? I sat at their table, and I gave them a hug and stuff. And my mom looked at me, and she was like, so, how come my children never call me on the phone? and I was like, oh, I laughed it off. Like, oh, mom, what do you mean? Da, da, da. And she's like, I'm serious. I said, okay. So then 2 days later, I gave her a call. She didn't even answer. Anyways, I left a voicemail. We texted. But actually, even her text back to me was, hey, I'm sorry. I know you're busy. You don't have to worry about calling me. I know you're praying for me. You know I'm praying for you. I know you love me. Oh my gosh, mom, I'm not too busy for you. But here's the thing. I'm not someone who shares a lot. It's true that I didn't pick up the phone and call my mom, maybe like I should have. We talked on the phone occasionally. We talked very much. In fact, one of my favorite things in going back home was after all my siblings left and went back to their homes, that it would just be the three of us, my mom and my dad and myself, and we'd stay up in the kitchen, and they'd be sitting there at the kitchen island, and I'd stand up and because I need to move around, and we would just talk for hours. And one of my absolute favorite things to be able to do with my parents is just have that conversation where it's just the three of us, now just with me and my dad. I'm telling you, it's a good relationship. I love her very much, and she loved me very much. But here's the point I was trying to make with this mom. It can be a good relationship even if it's not the relationship you want with your kids. You can be a great, great parent, even if you don't have the relationship with them that you would dream of. Even if it doesn't look like you thought it would look. They can still love you, and you can still love them, and you can share a faith, even if it doesn't look how you thought it would look. You don't have to be perfect to be a mom. B, you don't have to be perfect to be a good mom. C, you do not have to be perfect to raise children who love Jesus and love the church. You don't. Well, A, you can't, and B, you don't have to be. No one's waiting for that. One of my favorite things to share about my mom, after my mom's funeral, one of the other mops, one of the moms of priests came up. She said, I wish I would have told you this before the funeral, but one of my favorite things your mom ever told me, it was when the Bible in a Year had become really big and stuff, and people were talking about this, and some of the moms were saying like, oh goody, you must be so proud of Father Mike. You just be so, really happy for him, really, really proud of him, et cetera, et cetera. And my mom, she had this like kind of no nonsense look to her at times. And she kind of looked at these other moms and she said, well, I have other kids too, And that was it. Like she's like, of course I'm proud of it, but I have other kids too, And that's just so good. It just captures my mom. She loved and loves. She is alive with the Lord in heaven. She loved and loves every one of her kids, even though we all had different relationships with her. But my favorite thing to be able to share about my mom, and I've shared it at her funeral, I've shared it at a couple different homilies, is this. She made breakfast for us every morning, even though she didn't like it, wasn't very good at it. She would go to our swim meets and she'd sit there all day. And at the end of the swim meet, we'd complain about how she cheered for us. And like, how this is just backwards. We're such bad kids. She would come to our things. She would be there when we got home, when she could. She didn't do any of that stuff perfectly, but she showed up. And this is the thing. Sometimes love is just showing up. It's not always necessarily being there if you can't be. We don't need any more helicopter parents or any more Zamboni parents. But she was there when we needed her. Not perfectly, she just showed up. And so my thought for this young mom, who's just, I want to do it right. I want my kids to grow up to become men and women who embrace the faith, is just do your best. And you might not have the relationship you want with your kids. That might be okay. Just show up, do your best, because love is showing up. And when you do your best, God takes care of the rest. And sometimes I wish I would have had the relationship with her that she wanted. But other times I was just like, no, I'm going to be grateful for the relationship that we actually had. I don't know if it makes any sense, but if that mom's watching or any other moms or dads are watching, I hope this helps even just a little. You're enough. Keep showing up. Keep loving your kids. Keep praying. For all of us here at Ascension Presents, my name is Father Mike. God bless. Here's the thing. If you're someone who has a person in your life who has died, man, if you want a good cry, go back over your text messages. Just the normal things you would say to each other that are just kind of enshrined there on your phone are, that's a moment where you need a tissue box close at hand.